Hello everyone and welcome to the 26th of May or turn 17. Let's go see how it went. We've got clear weather for this turn, which is good. Still just inching up on the victory points, and losses are up to 23%. Apparently the Dutch got a bit frisky and walloped a German infantry unit which was sitting in the polder and out of supply, so that sucks. French at least are up to 62%, which is quite heavy losses. So let's go and have a look at the history. In the south, we basically shift the luftwaffe forward and hit these armoured units which are out in the open. Not as effectively as I'd hoped, but it's better than nothing. We also do some work on this infantry regiment here and then basically surround the section of the 91st. Elsewhere, we press forward, we try and cut off the infantry here and succeed. So we've got 4 regiments isolated there. I'm not sure if they'll be able to break out. I do hope not. And these guys are eliminated at 12,000 French losses, which is quite a lot. This section of the French line is now really struggling, although the engineers of course managed to hold out in the city. There is a line of French troops here we can't really engage with, but they just don't really appear in the replay for some reason. The French armoured units are forced back into the city, which then one regiment is eliminated and these guys are surrounded. We also managed to eliminate that 2 regiment or 3 regiment unit there. So the French south is wide open and they're starting to dissolve. There's French units in here, a fair amount of them, as you can see from the amount of movement we're doing. But yeah, the 18th is finally starting to advance a bit. We also do a run around with our mobile units. Some very stubborn French regiments are finally eliminated, and the 6th basically advances. The British are falling back fast enough that we can't easily get to grips with them, but we are surrounding and eliminating tactical pockets of French units here. This is quite a good one. If we go back to that, you can see there's a fair amount of tanks, armoured cars, 47mm, a bunch of anti-tank guns, just generally quite a lot of very useful units in there, which we just wiped this turn. These guys are cut off. There's, I think, 3 or 4 regiments in there. And we're also threatening to pocket this whole French force here, which I think we'll be able to manage the turn after. As you can see, 6th Army just moves along. Everything is pretty much in okay shape, apart from the usual complaints about dead trucks, meaning our mobile units are no longer very mobile. As you can see, we've nearly forced a pocket here. I'm not sure if they're going to have any strength to break out, but it's quite possible they won't. So we'll be able to eliminate a good chunk of French units very easily. Real hope now is that this breaks the French strength enough in the south that we manage to essentially drive straight for Paris and win the game through victory points that way. I very, very much doubt we're going to be able to come in under the casualty totals anymore, so our hope is to just absolutely wipe the French army and win through victory points. The British force back, but yeah, they're falling back just fast enough to avoid any real combat with us, which is quite frustrating. Our mobile units just basically probe along until we run into resistance. We're keeping them fairly loose because we basically don't have a lot of strength in them. They're fairly battered. I could probably use them to force them out of here, for example, but it's easier just to lap around them and use blitzkrieg tactics rather than a direct confrontation. Especially once this infantry is all going to be freed up and can head westwards. Anyway, as you can see here, the Luftwaffe isn't particularly effective. In the north, the 4th Army surrounds a little bit of what I thought were... No, it looks like they're engineers with guns. That's a bit odd. Didn't know French engineers had artillery. But they're across the river there with the bridges, and they're going for Bruges. More Belgians eliminated. There can't be many left now. And hopefully 4th Army can spread south a bit and let 12th also divert south. The last little pockets of Belgian resistance are being mopped up. And similar things here, we're just advancing to the rivers where they've managed to delay us a little bit more. The Belgians must be surrendering any time now. I'm honestly shocked that they've held on this long. And here we go with the, was it 12th Army? I always forget the designation here. I think it's the 12th. Yes. Doing some mop up. They should be able to finish off these guys and then move to support what this push along to the seaside. Solid work here, just eliminating the surrounded units. Looks like Lille is occupied largely by British units. Nothing too surprising there. BBJ's panzers are swinging to the north, so I guess they're trying to cut the English off from the channel, which would be nice. If we can pocket and eliminate them, that's a good bunch of extra victory points. They gain some by reaching the evacuation points and holding on to the end of the game. Presumably they get Dunkirked. It's far from certain that they have the strength left, although it is a bit difficult to see exactly where they are in a lot of spots. They're focusing on delaying us at river lines and holding bridges and things like that. And in the north, looks like we're eliminating more Dutch units, pushing on Amsterdam, and hoping that they will surrender at some point. Like I've been saying for God knows how many turns now, I'm sure it will happen eventually. Maybe. Hopefully. Anyway, time for the French to do their thing. Looks like they're trying to evacuate this pocket. Ooh, we've got pretty thin lines of supply for us there. They must have had units in there I didn't account for properly. Yeah, as you can see, the sheer amount of French units in here means it is going to be quite the coup. These guys are faster than I expected, so they may be able to hold the neck of the pocket here, which, yeah, I still feel reasonably confident that we can pocket a good chunk of units. We may not catch the mobile ones, but we will definitely catch these infantry up here. That's unfortunate. Didn't really anticipate that. Yeah, it looks like the mobile pockets are into the neck of it. Sorry, mobile units are into the neck of the pocket. And the British are also running for their lives. Ooh, that's good that those engineers managed to hold. Probably the first real damage done by British planes in the whole game, apart from the Spitfires putting some hurt on the luftwaffe. Oop, those guys could be in some trouble. It looks like the British are learning that river lines can be quite difficult things to retreat over in this game. They really are running south very fast. I now have to worry about this section down there. I'm gonna have to swing some infantry units out to cover this. Yeah, this is what I was afraid would happen, to be honest. And the very few Belgian remnants. Apparently it's quite an unfortunate attack for us up here somewhere. This one, yeah, they were out of supply and they got surrounded and killed. Not shocking. And yeah, that is the replay. Let's have a look at the front up here. This encirclement has held Amsterdam. These troops are doing surprisingly well, but a lot of them are starting to degrade in readiness. Interesting. This lot are still holding their city with the only way through up here. That's quite frustrating. And further south, there appears to be no meaningful resistance between the 4th Army, 12th Army, and the coast. Zooming out, let's have a bigger look at that. The French and British are falling southwards quite quickly. You know, the Belgians really should be surrendering. I'm just saying. Going a bit further south, we've got 6th Army butting up against a fairly decent concentration of British, and the same here. It looks like they may be trying to get cheeky and either push in here or just zoom them south. The pocket is iffy. There's quite a lot of French units down here, including a bunch of mobile units, so I'm hoping that we'll be able to cut them off. It is a bit odd that these guys haven't moved. I don't really know what happened with them. But overall, these guys are already in fairly poor shape if the recon reports can be believed. Let's see how it plays out in the turn. I also have enough points to play a card, which gives me an extra division. I don't know exactly where the deployment zone for that is. I'm hoping it's not too far back, but I think I will just have to strategic rail them to the front after finding a spot for them to be assigned to. I think I'll give them to 6th Army because they're the ones who are most in need of reinforcement at the moment. Elsewhere, you see the steady degradation of the French army. The British have suffered a lot less. If we look at medium tanks, there's a real story. Light tanks is similar, although as you can see, Britain has also suffered quite a lot there. The Germans have a lot of very light tanks, like the Panzer ones, so even though we've suffered some casualties, it's not been devastating. 6th Army really took the brunt of it. Look at that, we've only got 125 tanks out of 530. And I think that's about 40-ish. So yeah, we've lost most of our tanks assigned to 6th Army. Whoops. I blame the entire French armed force getting into a fistfight with us. Right, if we zoom out, we can see the front, but also to the whole map. As you can see, the French and British are in full retreat. Yeah, we really need to aim for the victory points. I think I'm just going to throw 6th Army and 18th Army after trying to encircle this pocket directly at Paris and just dam them if they get in the way. Paris itself, if you can break over this riverline, it's pretty much straight shot down here. So if we can, there's quite a lot of tangle of rivers around here, unfortunately. So one option is to go around and then south, or we could just bust straight through. It does depend, I think, on where the French try and reinforce and if we can make this encirclement work. Right, that is it for this turn. So thanks a lot, everyone, and we will see you all shortly.